So here we have the log burner with some heatproof board already bolted directly to the back. I've got a bit of board down the outside there that's about 80mm away from the burner, and it's a free space this side. So between the backboard and the fake wall we've got 100mm. This is just to test, just to see how hot it gets. This is absolute worst case scenario. As you can see, you've got bubble wrap there. If that starts to wilt, you know you're too hot. So we're starting off at temperatures around 8-9 degrees there at the back of the board. Started off with a yoga mat down the side, but it did start to melt. So you'll see the transition in a bit. It's about 14 degrees there. So it's half-hour increments. I did a test every half hour. Just come back to it, let it burn. Got it up, so it's 29-30 degrees. I found different hot spots on the burner itself. So that was low down on the side, that's higher up, and it's like a 60 degree difference just there. So we're already up to 60 degrees on the back of the board, 36 to the fake wall. We've got 283 there on the higher side, 80 degrees down below. This is where the yoga mat started to melt, I believe, and now I've swatched over to the heatproof board on the side. I also started going on the inside of the board there, 234, and you can see it's down to 70 degrees on the outside. So you can tell how much that heat is absorbed by that board. It's really good stuff. 335 now up the inside edge. 90 degrees on that side. What am I on the outside? Just 60 degrees. So you're dropping 30 degrees there from inside to out. It's good. 563 on the inside, so that's in the fire itself. 276 and nearly 300 at the upper back, but just 65 on the outside of the back of that board. Really good. 45 degrees. I mean, this is not going to burn down the wall, isn't it? And that's just 100mm away. So we're 400 degrees there. 200 degrees on the inside. That's a lot closer. That's 80mm difference there. And we're down to 70 degrees. So even that, with an airspace between that heatproof and the wall, we're not going to set fire to the van. So that's really good, really encouraging. And I was really happy with those tests. It just showed me that there was space that I could play around with the use of the heat board. So really good. Van. It was recommended that I put the log burner on heatproof, and then underneath the heatproof was a concrete slab. Obviously I'm in a camper van, so I want to minimize weight. I mean, the log burner is already heavier than what I wanted, and obviously using pallets probably isn't ideal, but I'm not going to be driving this around. This is not going to be a Grand Tourer camper van. This is a homestead live-in van, potentially even to rent out for Airbnbs at some point, but that's a different story. So what I've done instead, rather than using a concrete slab, it's recommended that you have a 12mm gap between the heatproofing and the wall. So if I was to have heatproofing here, I'd have a 12mm gap between the heatproof and the wall, okay? Because the back of the heatproof still gets hot. It may not be anywhere near as hot as the front, but it still gets warm around the back. So that little air gap just creates hey Mr. Hand, just creates a little bit of coolness. It helps cool down, so you create that little barrier. So what I've done, rather than a concrete block, got a bit of 15mm ply here. I've created an air break of 12mm here between the ply and the shelf here. This is ventilation underneath here. That's actually the central heating unit, which is built into the van, but it just uses ridiculous amount of gas. So this is why I'm getting a log burner in, and it's just much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So got the shelf, 12mm gap, 15mm ply. I'm then using offcuts of the heatproof material. So that's going to actually give me a 30mm gap between the ply and then the heatproof, which the heatproof is then going to stand on, and then the log burner is going to go on top of that. So you've got log burner, legs, heatproof board, then going down onto heatproof blocks, just spaced. So we've got a 30mm gap, 15mm ply, 12mm gap, it's just a little bit of aeration. There's ventilation at the back there, which will be opened up. This bit here, just going to lift that up a little bit, and we're going to get ventilation. We'll have a little bit of air, cool air coming from the outside right the way through, potentially cool air lipping up underneath here as well. So we've got nice ventilation underside of that and from the back of that to keep this area nice and cool, as well as the heat-proof stuff there. So that's what I'm doing there. Just putting some boards up here for the wall. I'm only going to go roughly this high. Can stuff some insulation down there. So this is insulation that come out of this area, actually, where the refrigerator was, the fridge freezer was. There was insulation there, which I've taken out. I'm just putting that round the stench pipes, which come from the holding tanks up to the roof. So just insulating this. I'm going to insulate this section here between this wall and the bathroom wall. Probably going to replace that with something at some point. I'm thinking corrugated metal for the inside of the bathroom, just for a different finish. So a bit of insulation down here, and then I'm going to have some slats going diagonally here to re-divert the heat from the log burner into the bathroom to warm up the bathroom as well. But my plan is to get the log burner, get this floor area set up, get the log burner in, get the flue pipe in, hopefully tomorrow, and then actually just start a small fire in the log burner and just start checking the hot spots. Again, it was recommended that I heat-proof the whole of the back of the wall and the whole of the ceiling going across the top, as well as all the way up this side wall as well. But the test that I did, which you've seen in the video already, that black, the heat-proof on the back of the log burner really just absorbed all of the heat. And there wasn't a lot going up. It didn't even melt the bubble wrap, which was on the board, and the board was only 80mm behind the log burner, and this is about 300-400mm behind the log burner, that wall. And there's going to be a false wall up there with an air gap behind that as well. So I'm just going to set it up, burn some stuff, and then just check hot spots like you saw in my original testing video with the log burner outside. Just going to test hot spots to see where critical areas are for heat proof, and see what I can get away with, see what I can't get away with sensibly, and then take it from there. Well, outside the log burner looked really small. Now I've got it in the space. It's going to take some getting used to, and definitely going to need quite a bit of heat proof. I think I will paint that board up. The board will be painted. It's going to be nice sitting here in front of the nice hot fire, but it looks a lot bigger inside than what I was expecting. We've got the sleeve in. I've got the sleeve in. I don't know who we is. I've got the sleeve in. I've used the spirit level to line up with the ceiling. Spirit level from there. I've also used a plumb line, so a bit of string with a weight on the end to plumb line, just to line it through. It doesn't need to be exact, because the hole that we're making is going to be bigger for the roof seal to go on top anyway, so it doesn't need to be 100% exact. But I've just popped 3 holes on the outside of, or on that circle, because I know that the hole's going to be out here somewhere, so it's going to be a lot bigger. I'm just going to start off with this. So just pop 3 holes through the roof, give me a little marker. I'm just going to take the twin wall flue upstairs and yeah, mark around it. That'll give me an opening to then cut into. I'm making life hard, but I haven't got a jigsaw, so I'm going to have to improvise. But yeah, that's the plan. Got the holes through there, so I've got a mark up on the ceiling just from the little holes, bop, bop, bop. Then I've got a reference to where I'm going. Put a mark around on the ceiling around the bottom of the twin wall flue, and then I can start to cut through. I have actually got a hole saw, but I don't appear to have an auger to go through into the hole saw to hold the hole saw. So I'm just going to use this 35mm drill bit just to open up the holes a little bit bigger. This is where your bum starts twitching. No going back from now on. And that's my insulation. That's all I got, polystyrene. Bloody hell. I'm surprised I'm fucking freezing. I did put a bin bag underneath. Wonder how much it's catching. Well, it's nice to know that there's at least something in that roof rather than just a hollow void, because it sure as hell doesn't feel like there is a lot. I'll just get a handsaw, just tidy that up. That'll be right. Well, the bin bag collapsed in on itself, so most of it's just gone on top of the bin bag rather than in the bin bag, which is good. So, where am I? I've got a hole, as you can see, a little bit of twin wall flue poking out the top there. I have sealed it with, what's it called? Vitcas silicone cement, heatproof cement stuff. Let's do a bit of advertising. Vitcas black fire cement, 1250 degrees centigrade. So that's what I've used to seal the twin wall flue to each other, and also the log burner. Here I've got some roof flashing, so this goes over the twin wall flue, creates a nice seal around the top there. This fastens down. I've got prefer CT1 to be honest with you, but StixAll as well. I've used this before. This stuff is like sticks shit to a blanket. It's really good. You can apply it in damp conditions. CT1, if you use CT1 sealant, you can literally seal it underwater, but this one is good for sealing in damp conditions. So all good there. Yeah, so that goes over the flue, that gets fastened down. Seal it with StixAll CT1, any general purpose silicone adhesive. Screw it down as well. It's recommended around this metal tab, so you just put some screws in here, pop it down over the top. That holds it in place and also creates a nice seal around the top. I'm just being over cautious. I know that my pipe is 180 mil. This ring that I've just cut down to is between 155 and 170. I'm just going to test this first and see if it fits over the top. We'll see if it's too tight, too distorted. Because if I don't cut enough off, you can always cut more off. But if you cut too much off, you're screwed. So over cautious is better. Yeah, absolutely nowhere near. So it's better to do it way too small and then find out you need to open it up. Never used this stuff before. I'm assuming it's designed to be a really snug tight fit to keep that seal around it. What I will do is when I put it on and I know roughly where it's going to be, I'm actually going to put some cement around it to seal it on the inside and then just slide it down. So there may be a little smear on the top. I'm not worried about aesthetics on the outside on top of the roof. It's only going to be whoever up here sunbathing, me. does take me back to my fountain installation job. Fountain workshop, thank you very much. Getting those. I mean, you could also double up and I put a Jubilee clip around the outside of that, to be fair. That wouldn't hurt. It's what we used to do when we were using these. I can't even remember what they're called now. No, it's gone, it's gone. Rubber couplers sometimes. Rubber couplers, it's not what this was, but yeah. Do need to do, I just want to remove that cover there. My flashing is going to be underlapping. It's okay to let go. I will be putting that back on. This fan's got way too much ventilation and there's bloody holes everywhere. There are holes absolutely everywhere. Yeah. So what I think I'm going to do... There's always something in the way, isn't there? There's always something in the way, no matter what you do. There's always something in the way. So you've got a TV aerial here, the cable that comes, a right blob of sealant right over the top of the cable where they drilled a hole through there. You don't need the cable. Go down and redo that joint. Just double check it when I'm done. I mean, the mastic is nice and fresh at the minute. But it is moving around a lot at the minute while I'm doing this. So I'm going to go back down and check it and maybe reseal it a little bit more. So there's a little ridge just on the inside here. I'm just going to put a bead of this silicone around the inside edge of that, and then I'm going to seal to the outside edge there and the inside edge there. Good healthy coverage all the way around. You can get as messy as it likes on the inside. I really don't care. Really just about out there. Just clean it up. I want to be able to access that. Like the Jubilee clip, which will either be a flathead screwdriver or maybe a 7, it's like a 6-7mm socket. And around the actual twin wall flue, you need a 50mm gap before any material, so there's a little bit of an air gap, breathing space, so the temperature doesn't permeate out. Although it's twin wall flue and it's generally cooler on the outside here, you're still going to feel some warmth. It's generally about 500-600mm clearance, again above the top. I'm just going the full meter. Again, I'm not going to be driving this van around everywhere. I'm not planning on anyway, but you never know. So that's sealed, that's tightened up. So really, I need to seal around the underside of this flashing, slide that down to the floor. And by design, it's very flexible. It's for corrugated roofs. I've seen it on market, I've seen them on tents, little teepees and stuff like that. So any, fluctuations, deviations, they're pretty good at sealing around that. I just want to come this way a little bit. That's what I want to do. It's a good seal. I would put, I am going to just put a little bead of that around the top as well, just to fix it into place. Because this is just a nice little bit of light alley, it bends up quite nicely. So before I apply that, I'm just going to go get some screws. See you on the other side. I've just got some little stainless steel screws. Again, you're only 20mm. I have got a metal beam which is running straight through this edge, so got some little self-tapping tech screws as well. Again, they're not going to be big, they're only going to be short, but that'll just get into the metal frame. It's the structure here that should just be along this edge, might even be along that back edge actually. I might get away with that one. Let's do this first. If you've never used silicone before, just cut the top off. And then fold that over. Screw the head on. Simply unscrew the top. With the thin nozzle, I'm just going to do a little bead around the top just to start off with, just to get that sealed, and then I'll cut a little bit off for a thicker, fatter splodge along the bottom end. Just going to use the same gun for that. Ideally latex gloves. Again, me being me, I improvise. Got a little bit of bubble wrap which I'll wrap around the tip of my finger, and then you can just clean it up around the outside there. And let's just get a bit out first. Again, if you've never used a spuff gun, a silicone gun, that applies the pressure. Even when you're not pumping, that will still hold, so you need to release that to stop it pumping out the edge if you're not pumping. Because if you pump and then release, this is still applying pressure and it will still squeeze silicone out. makeshift latex gloves. I mean, you can get little tools. I think I have got somewhere actually downstairs, which do a nice little angle for you. But that works just as well. Try and get it in one sweep. And you're good to go. This stuff gets everywhere once it goes. It gets everywhere. So what I'm going to do now is cut the end of the nozzle off to make the nozzle wider, so I can get a nice big splodge on the underside of this. We really want a good seal on this as we're putting it down. The last thing we want is water coming through. So the more the merrier really, and then we can clear up any mess at the end if we need to. Try not to have any breaks between the mastic, so if you miss a bit, just go back, fill in the gap. Although it will spread, it's better to get as much in first time. Be careful working on an icy roof. See it nicely splurging out the sides. Really good. That's what we want. Especially on uneven surfaces. You want to know that we have a seal. If it's not squirting out the edge, it's going to be less of a seal. Oh. Hopefully, think about that actually. Hopefully. So using stainless steel because this is exposed to the outside. Because it's really thin alley, just normal screws are just going through this nice and easily. So can spuff over the screws. I'm going to spuff over the screws. I'm just going to clear up the mess around the outside. I might, if there's a massive surge, I might just use that to pull back on over the top of the screws. But it is going to be sealed through the hole. But never assume. Always assume it's going to leak. Always assume it's going to leak. Always. You can have a bit, you can have a bit. 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 Sod it. You can all have a bit. Right, why didn't I buy some latex? Just buy some latex gloves. Get yourself some latex gloves. That's you'll thank yourself for it. It ain't pretty, but it's my flashing. Dedication to Simon Barnard there. Check him out, great musician. Singer-songwriter. Wee! He likes to sing while he works. Big shout out to you, Barnard. I think that's in. I'm not going to worry about sealing the top. I don't see the point, considering smoke's coming out the top anyway. What I am planning on doing, got a Jubilee clip there so you can fasten it up. I'll give it a little pinch now. But what I am thinking about doing is getting a little bit more of a screen around here. So maybe just tap a couple of holes in there, get some little mesh, some sort of mesh. It will stop big stuff getting down there. Like when I got this log burner, there was actually a dead crow in the top. So I don't know whether that was in there while it was being used or what, I don't really know, but it was there when I picked it up. And I don't really want another one down there. So the cement cures better when it's hot. So I'm just going to go downstairs. I'm just going to run the heat gun. I'm going to check that seal at the bottom because there's been quite a lot of movement through here. So I'm going to check that seal at the bottom, maybe redo it. The last little bit of cement that's in the tube, just reseal it, lick it round, and then get a heat gun out, fire it up, and then probably have a bit of lunch, and then I'll start up the fire. Woohoo! And she's off. Oh man, that board's not level at the back. What a time to notice that. Damn it. Well, she looks good. Let's just see what, I mean, this is all temporary, but I'll put it there. That's not going to stay there. Let's see where I need heat proofing. I'll sort that bit out in a bit as well. Oh, she looks good. She looks good. So that's how cold it is in here in a minute. You can see my breath.